Hello and welcome once again to the How Long to Beat podcast. I, as always, am Rick. I'm joined, as always, by Alex and Paula. And in addition, I'm sure you've all been thinking, I know I have, we've been having an insufficient amount of creepy, crawly content on this podcast. And here to help us cover that gap, it's the resident Roach. Some of you know him as Cock. I certainly do. He also goes by Matt and Matt Jerkholt, and he's got an embarrassingly much larger YouTube following than we do. Welcome to the podcast, Matt.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. It's cock o'clock, as I said.
It is indeed cock o'clock.
It is indeed.
Which you've known from the title of this. Our titles are just getting worse and worse as we go along, and by that I mean better. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we've been a little lax on guests, but this month we're gonna go a little wild, I think. So we're very excited to have you in. And we're just going to start with what we always do, with a little bit of an interview, just to get to know you a little bit better, let people hear a little bit from you, let us relax for a second. And let's start off. Yes, you're right. It's a chance for us to relax. Let's start off with, what part of the world do you live in, and how does that affect your gaming?
All right. Yeah. I am born and raised in the beautiful, trashy city of Duisburg, Germany. And I don't think my gaming experience here is really much different than like most of the Western world, I guess. I believe the main or the only difference really that would be going on over here is the censorship and rating system thing, because Germany is very, very much known for being less lenient on certain aspects, especially in video games, which stems mainly from the fact that video games aren't really considered an art form by law here. So they are treated in a different point of view. And I think that there are two subjects specifically that are really difficult to, I don't know, deal with in gaming here, which is, for one, violence. Germany really hates violence in video games, which leads to some kind of funny censorship methods, or just straight out banned games, which can be very frustrating. And the more understandable one is, of course, with Nazi symbols being understandably banned.
Makes sense.
The only problem, yeah, I mean, we all know why, of course. The problem there is just that that it's maybe not handled the best way in video games, in the media of video games, because at least until recently, it was literally not received as art. So while film and literature and other stuff has been evaluated in that way, that if it has an artistic value to show these sort of themes, then it's a-okay. But in video games, it's just like, no, we won't have that. Let's take it out. Wolfenstein, bro, no, that's just like a triangle now, okay?
And there was some hilarious bits of, like, I think it was Wolfenstein 2, the recent one, where Hitler's just had his mustache like reversed. Henry Cavill, they've just airbrushed it off.
I didn't even know about that until recently, that they actually changed Hitler's appearance, which is completely nonsensical in every way.
Mm-hmm.
That's so weird. Like, that feels counterproductive, right? Like, you're like, wait a minute. Yeah. I think we're missing the point.
It was Adolf Hitler. It's a completely different guy.
Yeah.
It's Jiminy Hitler.
Oh my god.
So
I'm imagining like a little pint-sized Hitler just on like Pinocchio's shoulder. He's like, "Come on!"
How did we get here already?
That's what you get for having a German on here.
Yeah.
Okay. Apparently, video games are like slowly being taken more seriously in that regard, and I've read that they are now judged on a case-by-case basis, just like other pieces of media, which sounds in theory like it's the better way to do. I can't confirm if it's actually been done better recently. I have no idea. And okay, the only one more thing that I do actually want to say about how German gaming is different is that exactly 1 year ago, Steam started to region lock all adult games for German users,
Oh.
I
or
heard
almost all
about
of them.
that.
Yeah, because Germany was asking for them to implement a proper age verification, and they just said, "Nah, man, we won't do that." And as a result, they just decided to completely make almost all adult games on their platform inaccessible to German users, which is kinda the worst possible way to deal with it, in my opinion. That's annoying.
Valve's just like, too bad, suckers. Say goodbye to all your
No.
boobs and wieners. It's
No more
gone.
waifus for you.
Yeah.
This
no.
would be the perfect time to bring up a VPN sponsor spot if we had one.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you
that would
go.
have been
Save
it.
this episode for once you got one.
Yeah, there you go. God.
These are the games that we beat in December 2021.
It makes
I
me
know you're
think
hearing about this in
now.
2024 when we blew up,
Yeah.
but
There you go.
this is too good to miss.
It just makes me think of Deep Space Waifu and how sadly that must not be available in Germany. And that's just that's a tragedy.
It sounds like a jam. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know about all those, like, it had censorship on there. Like, that's a lot. Because I have a few friends from Australia, and they talk about how like they've had similar-ish issues. But in Canada, I feel like Canada's just like, whatever. Like, they just don't care. Do you know what I mean? They're like,
Nice.
I don't care. Like, just who cares? And like, I also think Canada doesn't have enough power. Maybe like Germany, I feel like is on the world stage a little more of a player than we are. So I think Canada just takes what people give them. We're like, all right, whatever, give us new games.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, why don't we move on to then a little bit about your gaming background and kind of your preference? Like, where does gaming start for you?
Well, we grew up. Me and my sister, we grew up with a Super Nintendo and a PlayStation 1. That's pretty much what we started with. And also later used the Game Boy line. We went through the entire Game Boy line and had a PC. That's like the four corners pretty much that we had in our household. We never were up to date on any platforms except for the Nintendo handhelds for some reason. That was the only one. And I think that's one of the reasons why I gravitated to the PC very early. I used that thing for everything at a very young age already. And that has been like that line drew itself right into adulthood. Nowadays I don't even mess with other platforms, honestly. Another thing is my dad is super against violence in media, which makes kind of sense. When we just talked about the censorship of violence in media a second ago, maybe there's a connection there, but that resulted in him having a strong hand about what was allowed and what not in our household, and that included shit like Counter-Strike, which I can now understand why he wouldn't want his kid to play that in a way. But he also hated Pokemon because he thought it was too violent, or shit like the Worms games.
Wow.
Luckily, he did allow me to play those in some way or another. Like I guess he just looked away for those. But like we had long arguments of me trying to convince him to be allowed to play Counter-Strike. I literally wrote him an essay once trying to convince him with arguments about how it could be beneficial for me. It was kind of weird. But on the other hand, he was always a pirate. He always asked me what games to get burned on a CD from his coworker or some shit, which I didn't even really make much use of as a kid because I was like, no, I want the original thing. I want to support the developer and shit. And something I wouldn't say nowadays when it comes to most AAA publishers. So that changed a lot over the years.
And then he came back to you and said it's language like that, which is why I can't allow you to have violent video games.
Exactly.
It's so funny too, though. Like, honestly, when it comes to Counter-Strike and stuff, I think I'd be more worried about like the conversations people would have while playing those games more than the games themselves. Like, I'm like, violence in games is fine. It's more like, have you ever gone onto a COD lobby and just put on the microphone? Lord. That's what I
Yeah,
worry about
that
kids.
is true.
that wasn't even a thing that my dad considered
Yeah.
at the time, because that wasn't yet that popular back then.
Mhm.
But I mean, even I nowadays despise the Call of Duty franchise for similar reasons that my dad had back then with Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
So I get it in hindsight, kind of,
Mhm.
but it was frustrating at the time. For like
I also should
everybody
say,
else in the neighborhood, right? Yeah.
I always shit on COD, but I do have to say that the new Vanguard one, they're trying. They went real anti-Nazi in that one, and like unapologetically so, and like very, because like some games like Battlefield and stuff are like, so I remember one of the World War II one that they did was like a little like there's some weird stuff in there where it was like kind of sympathetic towards them in like very odd ways, whereas Vanguard is just like, nah man, Nazi bad.
You set the bar so low, like that's literally one rung above the game runs and doesn't brick my console.
Hey, listen, that's my expectations for COD.
Oh my gosh.
So I
there's
want
one
to
video I
say,
saw that like went on it and like said like it did a quite good job, but it actually like dealt with like anyway, the new one, they're trying some stuff. They're doing some things with the story that I think I'm like, okay, I'm down if you're trying to explore this side of it. Will I ever play the game? No, but that's just me.
but
I hate, this is such a tangent. I hate that game is like 40% down on sales and still the second highest selling game of the year.
Yeah, that's nuts.
fuck, man.
It's just like, come on, man.
Oh Lord. But
Sorry,
anyway,
Matt, I cut you up. You were going to say something then.
Well, I was just gonna say that I never looked at that release specifically, but if it's again Nazi shit, that's not even anything special because they've done that a million times, and it's the easiest like black and white story to tell in this kind of setting. So that doesn't even impress me. Do something about the, I don't know, the American military and their shit, and show that in a more nuanced way. That would be a thing to do.
yeah,
But I guess
agree.
they would lose their U.S. Army sponsorship or something probably.
Probably. One interesting thing they did do is like, because you're like playing as like a crack squad. I should link this video. It's a good video. This guy, he just like was breaking down Vanguard, and like, because you're like, you play as a Black American soldier, and so like he's discussing like the racism and like the contradictions within the Nazi ideology and like the shit he deals with as well, and like could they have gone further with it? 100%, but like, yeah, I was actually like, I was surprised. I'm like, okay. And I think it's made some people who are a little, go like, oh, those SJWs, it made them a little mad. So I'm happy. I'm like, ha ha! I'm like, there you go. Good job, Call of Duty. You tried something here. But could it be better? Probably. And this is also from someone who's just watched videos of people describing it. I've not played the game myself, so
Yeah, okay.
grain of salt. But I always get happy when, neo-Nazis get mad. It just warms my heart,
I mean, of course, yeah.
When people piss them
Again,
off. Anyway,
such a low bar.
yeah, but you gotta
Don't you
start
guys
somewhere.
just like hate war and like hunger? It's like, has anyone else thought how that's the worst?
But you gotta understand, like with a game like COD, where like so many
Not having
people
access
play
to
it.
clean water. What's that about?
I know, right?
Who said that was okay?
My thing is like anything that is slightly just not the like glorifying war makes me just like, at least just at least that much, because like you said, even the second highest selling game, I'm like, at least maybe this narrative is going to get in front of some eyeballs. I wish they'd go
Bold
further,
of you
but
to assume those people are playing the campaign. Very bold of you to
know.
assume.
Yeah.
That's also what makes me sad, but maybe. Anyway,
Fingers
again, we went on to
crossed.
neo. How are we doing this?
So
Matt.
sorry.
No, I'm sorry for you. Come on. First time. There you go. Can't escape it.
Sure,
Well,
yeah.
So
anyway.
you told us your console of choice. Moving swiftly on.
Did you tell us your console of choice?
Wait.
No,
PC. Well, yeah, PC counts, right?
Oh,
Surely.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. We've let other people say PC before.
Yeah, why don't
If we
hey,
removed your
why-
PC, what would your console be of choice be?
Jesus.
Demons.
You put it in a bind there,
You're
Rick.
like, no PC for you. Oh, what's your handheld of choice?
That's not. Probably the GBA, probably. But
Man after my heart.
honestly, the only other platform that I legitimately use beside the PC these days is VR, because that's actually something that provides a unique experience rather than the same thing, better graphics. So that was actually the only other platform I bought in probably like a decade. But I guess I do still love the Super Nintendo and the Game Boy Advance. I guess I do still enjoy them, but that's like I'm emulating with no shame.
Nice. Well, the SNES and the GBA, that's like yin and yang right there. Like those are like of the same coin, right? Which is odd. That's great. Okay, cool. VR, nice. Like, because I had the PSVR for a while, but then I sold it because I was like, I did my thing. But like, what VR are you using?
I'm using the Oculus Quest 2, which is funnily enough not even really legal in Germany.
Really?
It's legal to own, but it's not legal to sell in Germany because the Facebook requirement doesn't really comply with Germany's privacy laws. It's actually an interesting situation, but I don't know. It's fucking cheap, and I don't care about my Facebook account, so I still just did it.
Fair, your Meta account now, dear God.
Yeah.
Wait, now that I think about it, when my boyfriend was playing like GeoGuessr, that is like you get put like in anywhere in the world, like on Google Maps, and you have to guess like where exactly are you. And I remember that Germany in particular, everything is blurred out. That has to do with like the privacy stuff, right?
Yes. Oh. You can also just send out, I want my house blurred, and they have to do it. Like, there's not even any conversation there. And many people do that.
That's really interesting. I like. Okay.
I kind of like that though.
As a small tidbit at the end, there's a huge like lawsuit going on still between the EU and Meta, I guess it's their name now, because of all the privacy shit that they're pulling. It's still a long, lawful conversation that's happening since last year. There's a lot of going on.
Goddamn rebranding. Just anyway,
I
don't want to get on Meta. I'll go nuts.
Here's all that tech news, political content that you come to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, well, you talked about like SNES and stuff. Like, do you have a memory of like a first game or something that you were just like, yeah, this is it. I am into games.
Oh, I do remember the first video game I ever saw in general. I was still in like single digit age, small child, and I was hospitalized for some shit, and I was sharing my room with another boy, and he had the original Game Boy with Super Mario Land, and I remember watching him play that. So that is, from what I remember, genuinely the first video game I've ever seen. Same?
Yeah, I got a Game Boy with Mario Land. That was like the first game I ever played.
Have you been hospitalized in Germany?
As a kid? You know what? Now that you mention it, now
starts breaking out to German. Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be.
It would explain our unbreakable bond. Let's be honest.
That is when we all noticed that the kid who was playing on that hospital bed was actually Rick all along.
Yeah. and the nurse that day, Albert Einstein.
Yes.
Nice. And finally, because I think I've heard this before. I think you've explained this before, but I want us to hear. What is the story behind your username? Good old Cockroach.
Oh yeah. I have definitely told that story in text before on the forum, but yeah. Now it's official here on the podcast. I've never thought I would be here with this shit.
I'm just hearing him. That was the moment he knew he fucked up.
Yeah, pretty much. I've been using the word cockroach as a username online for a long time now, and because honestly, I always preferred clean, simple dictionary words as a username over like, I don't know, Superman 69 or whatever, like with all the numbers behind it. I think nowadays, especially, it's really special if you find a plain dictionary word that's still available on a website over like making some complicated stuff up. And so cockroach has always been for a long time now, my go-to. When I found How Long to Beat and decided to sign up, I was gonna do cockroach again. But then my curiosity peaked, and I was wondering if it would just accept 4 letters, cock, for one, either because it might already be taken, or it might be not allowed, too lewd. But Everdread doesn't give a shit, so it just got accepted. And I mean, at the time, I always thought I would never be communicating with anybody on this website. I didn't even realize there was a forum or something. So when I finally found that out and started to talk to people, it was
It's too late.
yeah, exactly. I have thought about changing the name multiple times, but people have been surprisingly accepting of it and thought it was rather funny than offensive. So I guess it's just there. Like,
it's
I
like the
would have
most
never-
benign of the like offensive words. You know what I mean? Like it's just a fun one. It's just
I would have never thought I would be here known as Cock on a long-running podcast. That's nuts to me.
You've got such a distant look in your eyes. It's like, what's going on here?
How have my life choices led me to this moment?
And I have to say, on a personal note, I always loved on the forums you would like sign things off with Matt, like almost apologetically, like.
Yeah.
Like I know my name
I
says
want-
cock, but it's Matt.
I'm a real person. This isn't just a troll.
I want people to know. I want to give people an alternative to not use that word if
Yeah.
they don't want to.
You're way too wholesome. Not gonna lie.
Sorry. It's so wholesome. I think I remember when he was first posting too, though. I think at first, even I was like, "Wait, is this just like? Hold on, is this a real person?" And then I was like, "Oh, this is."
My first post in the forum was me trying to get back into my account because I had some password problem, and people were rightfully assuming I'm just a bot. It was.
I wish
Oh
I'd
my
used a
God.
password manager like this one.
Another one.
Sponsorship.
Yeah, you line them up, don't you? That's good. Oh, awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us because it's truly, truly joyful. Honestly, like, it's just.
And as an aside, I know we would normally move on. I kind of want to know how Rodney's doing. For everyone who's listening,
Oh yeah.
Cock has actually got a pet cockroach called Rodney, and I want an update. He's just got a new house. He's with his favorite
Yes, he's a. Yes. Rodney is a homeowner now. He got a nice, cute little
Shut.
paper house. Yeah, I do. For those who have no idea what the hell you're talking about, I do have a single roach in a terrarium over here. That just happened somehow.
Amazing.
And yeah, I literally just did a deep clean of his domain earlier, and he's living a happy life.
Oh, that is so good. Oh.
Yeah, the
Alright.
cockroach persona is not just for show. I'm living it.
No, man, it's legit. It's real.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we move along then, and let's get up to the games you've beaten recently. So, what have you beaten, good sir?
Yeah, good. I haven't beaten that much recently, actually. And really just 2 titles that I would.
Oh,
Care
sorry.
to
Can I just
mention?
pause for 1 second? I am deeply disappointed that I didn't come up with a cocked-based beating pun right now, and I'm very upset with myself, and I just want to move along here.
Oh no.
There's
I
got to be
thought that's a
something.
Rick job anyway.
Hang on. Give me like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Come on.
You can see his
Come on.
ears turning right now.
Come on.
I'm not gonna lie, that's not helping. That's really not helping. Do you know what? Tell us about the games. I guarantee by the end of the segment I'll have something to fit back in.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Let's go.
perfect. Totally. Okay, so the first game that I've beat recently is a game called Never Alone, also known as Kisima Inŋitchuŋa, which is an Alaskan native language that translates to "I am not alone," which is, in my opinion, a better title even for a game than Never Alone. And this game is one of those games that actually have a legitimate cultural value to them, and it blew me away a little bit in a way.
I love this game. I played this a long time ago on the PS4.
You played it very good.
Yeah. I really like. I agree with you. Some of the controls I found like a little sluggish, a little choppy, but like I just think that the actual like story and like culture that's going on around it is just so it bolsters it up so well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, I know it. I'm pretty sure it's been free on the Epic Store before, and I know it's on sale and in bundles all the time. So it really is. There are not a lot of excuses not to pick this up at some point. The thing is that this game is the video game. The story is based on a folk tale by an Alaskan Native people. The what's it called? The Inupiaq. That's the Alaskan Native people. And the wonderful thing about this game is that as you play through the story, you unlock pieces of a well-made documentary that you can watch anytime you want. It's really smooth too. Like you can just pause the game for a second, watch one of the short clips, and then continue the game. And those documentary bits are people of that native people. They just explain to you their culture, their history, and the meaning of this folktale that you are playing through. And there's this really, really smooth transition through experiencing the story and then learning about the meaning of the individual elements that you are experiencing there. And it works really well. The game is not long either. It's just like 2 to 3 hours, really. So it works. It never overstays its welcome, even though there are some there's a little bit of roughness in some of the platforming sections. It is a puzzle platformer, by the way, with a lot of environmental manipulation. That's the gameplay mechanic. Even though there's a bit of roughness in the actual platforming, sometimes it doesn't really it doesn't destroy the atmosphere or the flow much. And like you said, the actual educational bits baked in make up for all of that in a major way. I really, really, really enjoyed this game, and I think this actually this is a perfect showcase of how the media of video game can work as preserving a culture or a history of someone or some people. And I really wish there were more games like this.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, like it's like 7 years old now too, and I was looking at it, it's only like $15 on Steam US. So like, yeah, if you ever see it on sale, pick it up. It's worth it. I wonder if
Three
it's on...
things I want to. Oh, sorry, go on.
yeah. No, go ahead. I gotta look something up. So you go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say I have 3 things to contribute to that. Number 1, it absolutely was a freebie on the Epic Game Store. So if you're listening, there's a very good chance you already have this game. Number 2, if you don't, as well as PC, this game is available on, of all things, the Wii U. It also has mobile, PS3, and NVIDIA Shield ports. So I don't think it's on Switch.
No, it's not.
Weirdly. But it's on the superior Wii U, so there you go. And thirdly, I've got a pun. So,
oh, you do it? Okay.
Yeah. So, a
do this.
little bit of context for those of you who are not well versed in the life and biology of bugs. Their exoskeletons are made of a material called chitin. So, we're talking, Cock, about what games you chitting recently. And I timed that right as he was taking a drink, which I love.
Rick, that's terrible.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
We didn't
I
say it had
Hey,
to be
welcome to the
great.
club. This is
I
like
didn't hear any better
every
puns
week.
from you three, so go fuck yourselves.
That's fair. I'm thinking of one for later. All right, I'll get there. I promise.
Okay.
Oh God, what have I brought to this podcast?
Oh.
All right, go to the next one. Let's go.
That's what's happening here.
There's actually one more sentence about Never Alone that I forgot to
yeah.
mention. The story is about two characters, and if you play alone, you switch between the characters. But you can also play it in co-op, where each player controls one person or one character. And I would actually really recommend playing this with somebody else. Not that it's bad in single player, but I believe this would be a great experience to share with somebody else. Okay, that's about that. The other game is a ROM hack based on the Super Nintendo F-Zero game. It is called F-Zero Nebula Highway. And how do I say this lightly? Nintendo sucks for Nintendo sucks for keeping F-Zero not alive. That's not cool. And I've said this before to other people, but the fan community is doing a better job at developing and keeping alive their intellectual property than they do themselves. And these ROM hacks are a great example of that. I've grown up with the Super Nintendo F-Zero, and I love the franchise, especially the 2D ones, the Mode 7 games on Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance. And after recently replaying the original game, I've been finally looking into the ROM hack community for that, which is lively. And I thought I would be blazing through a bunch of them over like a weekend or something, but I ended up only playing this Nebula Highway one because it became a whole project in itself. It's made by a ROM hacker who simply calls themselves Alejandro, from what I've gathered, just to give them credit. And they say that it's not that hard for seasoned players. And I would call myself a seasoned player. I've beaten the game multiple times, but there's still a fairly big step up in difficulty here because it has a very different track design philosophy than the original game, I would say. The dude uses, like, for one, it's a really interesting way to see how you can make something completely different with the same building blocks of the original game. There's nothing really that the person added completely new. He just rearranged stuff to make a full game of new tracks, new race tracks. But unlike the original game, there is a lot more stuff in your way. There are a lot more road hazards. More dangerous pieces of roads are used way more frequently than any of the original games, which makes it hard to just survive, let alone get first place. Which is all fine and dandy, honestly, because the track designs are interesting in how extended and advanced they are. But the person had the brilliant idea on, I think, 2 tracks to just not give you the option to recharge energy, which is usually 100% on every racetrack somewhere. But I guess you thought it would be too easy. So making full 5 laps through these hardest racetracks without even having the chance to recover, that made me spend some hours on them. But even though I didn't like that concept of them, specifically with these few tracks, all in all, there's a lot of really, really interesting and creative racetrack design there that really brings the old building blocks to life again in a way that wasn't seen before in any of the official games, even the Lost Satellaview games. So honestly, if you do like the original F-Zero game, there's no reason not to check this one out, because it is a new experience with the same aesthetic and ground floor.
Nice. Yeah. Can't say I'm much of a champ of. I've played through F-Zero, but God, I'm bad. Like, those games are tough. All right. Well, from games that you brought to completion, let's move on to those you left blue-balled. We're talking retired games.
See, Rick, that's a good pun right there.
Yeah,
You can learn from that.
Like 6 out of 10 at most.
I'll
yeah,
take that.
sure,
I'll take
okay.
that.
All right. So, do you have 5 minutes to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?
Oh, I
God,
do.
do I?
Okay, I have played Bible Adventures on NES. It's a pretty infamous. It was a pretty infamous. You have the book.
I've read the book. Yes, I know this game very well. It's the boss fight books. Put a book out on Bible Adventures. So keep going. I want to talk about this with you for sure.
This is actually really cool, because I don't actually know much about the background, but I would be interested to hear about that. My point of view is just it was an infamous bootleg cartridge, I believe, in the 90s for the NES, made by Wisdom Tree, a developer producer thing that just made Christian games. It is, I think, mostly known for being in one of the early Angry Video Game Nerd episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have been meaning to look at it myself for many years now, and I've did it finally, also to just have a video on my channel this Christmas, so that's gonna be a thing there. And it is pretty interesting, I guess. It incorporates 3 different games basically that all use the same mechanics. They are all side-scrolling platformers in the style of maybe Super Mario Brothers. What is it? Super Mario Brothers 2, where you can pick up stuff and hold them over your head to carry them. That's a major mechanic. And so the 3 different games represent 3 different stories in the Bible, where you have to carry things for reasons of that story, like carrying baby Moses away from the baby genocide people, or collecting all the animals for the ark as Noah, so everything doesn't die out. It's not great, but at least the baby Moses one actually plays fairly well, in my opinion. It is clunky, and you barely have any way to like defend yourself against the many annoying enemies, but it works. It's playable. I've seen worse, and it's interesting in how like infamous it is. Like Alex has there's a book that's been written about it that I've heard about, but I never read myself. So I'm sure there's a lot of interesting history about this game.
Oh yeah. So I really have to recommend, like, I like all the boss fight books. I pretty much own all of them except for a couple of the new ones that I just haven't been able to get on in print yet. Though they're all in like Kindle and ebook forms. And the Bible Adventures one, I think, is one of the best of the books because it chronicles the whole concept behind why this gets created is like very fascinating. And like really, it was a group of these. One of the developers essentially was making games called like Drug Czar, where like you're like games that like Nintendo wouldn't allow them to publish, right? Like games that were just like really like intense. And then there was like, they kind of met a group who were like kind of Christian, and like some of them were sort of Christian and some of them just weren't at all. And like I love at the beginning of the book they have the Eric Cartman quote where it says Hold on. They have two quotes. The first one's from Matthew 21, whatever. It says, Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. It is written, he said to them, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers. And then underneath, all right, guys, this is going to be so easy. All we have to do to make Christian songs is take regular old songs and add Jesus stuff to them from Cartman, which is basically what they did with these, is that like these games, often the developers didn't really care too much, but they created like actual games that were like pretty enjoyable, and then they would put kind of like a Jesus skin over it essentially to like sell to the Christian markets, because at the time, not licensed by Nintendo, but the Christian there were the stores in America, like Christians like goods you could buy. Like you'd go in and it's like a bookstore, but it's just Christian shit. And like, I don't know, live, laugh, love pillows, things like that, right? Like you can picture it, and they were huge. They were so big. And when they found out that they could get games that were fucking Bible shit, they were ripe to do that. And they made a killing. Wisdom Tree sold so many copies of Bible Adventures and like a number of their games through these like Christian retail outlets. But as the .com boom started taking off and as online shopping started to become a thing, those small like Christian retailers started to like really shut her down and like close down and whatnot. So like that's when like they started like moving on to different, whole bunch of different other things and stuff. But yeah, I it's been a while since I read it, so I don't have like all the details within my mind, but like the book itself talks about the idea of like, can you even make entertainment that explores like religion like this in a way like is like it's really neat. And like it's talking about like, is it okay to like make money off of your like all this kind of stuff, and like it really delves into like some of these deeper questions based off of a game that is just so dumb like so hard to play.
Okay, wait, so you're telling me that the people of Wisdom Tree did not make these games at all to somehow educate little kids about Jesus?
Some did. Not all of them, though, because they weren't all like hardcore Christians or anything. Like a few were. Some of the people that they hired to actually, because they remember that they partnered with Colored Dreams, which is this other studio and publisher as well. So like they had a group that was like they hired some hardcore Christians to market and sell their games. The developers themselves, some were Christian, some couldn't give a rat's ass, and like. You know what I mean? Like it was just a mixture of people, which ultimately I don't think it's like there's no like smoking gun of like they weren't really Christians and they were making Christian games. Not really. Yeah. Like, some were, some weren't. But like I just think it's fascinating that like they found and tapped into a market that like no one was trying to do anything for, and they just sold.
I guess that's actually clever. I do have one gripe though, with the Wisdom Tree people. And I know you're listening. I'm sure you are Wisdom Tree people. I've bought your official Spiritual Warfare and Wisdom Tree collection on Steam. I paid money for it. And all the games work except for the actual Bible Adventures one. I had to emulate it to actually play it. So Wisdom Tree people, please, for the love of Jesus Christ in heaven, get your shit together over there. I want to play that game officially.
Oh my god. Awesome. All right. Anyway, yeah, 1990. They
the resignation. I was like, okay.
Oh, nice. Since I was looking at the book, I was trying to see if there's anything else. I probably should have like brushed up on it again before this one to give you even more details. But you know what? Why not? Why not just plug it? People go read Gabe Durham's book. It's very good. Okay, thank you,
Alex. They're gamers. They don't know how to read.
That's true.
Hey,
unless
visual novel
you're
gamers,
they read. Toy players know how to read.
Yeah, we read a lot.
If you do know how to form sentences, form one in the comments down below. And while you're there, show me you know how to click a like button. That'd be sick.
Oh, God. We're professionals now. All right, why don't we talk about what we're playing? Paula, why don't you start us off again? Because we've been chit chatting. Let's give Matt over here a little break.
All right, we're doing this. Sorry, I was like so into the conversation that I completely forgot about
Oh shit, we're
the playing
recording a
segment.
podcast. Yeah. Shit.
Right, I'm doing a podcast. Let me get my shit together here. Okay, so I've been playing Cupid Parasite again. I finished the fifth route in the game, that is Alan's, and again I think I said that his love type was mania, and it was like enthusiastic love, if I remember correctly. Anyway, his route caught me completely by surprise because he was pretty much like the character I hated the most in the common route. Though I ended up kind of feeling sorry for him because of the overall backstory of the game. Though it delved super deep into what was overall like how the God Society works on Celestia, how gods are like picked, I guess, and like everything going on there. And of course, since this particular bachelor is an incubus, we also get like a bit of a look to the underworld. Yeah, pretty much the underworld. And I wasn't expecting this much lore to be dropped here. I'm just gonna be honest. Not only that, but there was like a couple of things that were like left up in the air, which makes me really, really curious on where the last route in the game is gonna go. So color me intrigued. Besides that, I've been playing. I started with my boyfriend a little game called It Takes Two. This was
Jeff
before
Keighley
it was
certified.
announced Game of the Year.
Yeah. Also, can you? Okay, I don't want to talk about the Game Awards, but how like much do you think Jeff sweated when Joseph came up, won the award, and was like, "Fuck yeah, fuck the Oscars"? Like he just dropped so many f-bombs like right on this game show and award show, and I was like, attaboy, but like I feel like I could see Jeff Keighley going, "God damn it, my sponsors."
My sponsors though. But kind of, some people said the Game Awards were not great this year, but I actually had fun watching it. Yeah, I had a good time. Other years I've been like cringing like all the way through. This one was actually a good show overall, even though they didn't like delve too much into the JRPG category and the RPG category, and I'm still pissed because they pretty much said, "Hey, these are the nominees," and showed them on the screen. Okay, and the winner is.
I feel like it's probably because they're like, bruh, the Tales people are not here. Like, you know, like they're locked down in Japan, right? Like they're like, let's just
but
forget
still,
it.
Yeah, they could have made like a bit more of a show or something like that. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, It Takes Two. So this little game pretty much starts with these two people like going pretty much through divorce, and the kid obviously doesn't want her family like to break away and stuff like that. And because reasons, these two people get turned into little dolls. And it is amazing. This game was designed to be played exclusively into player mode. And I'm kind of sad. I am a bit sad that more games don't do this more often, because the experience they crafted and the puzzles they pretty much made thinking on this two-player mode in mind are genuinely amazing. Also, it's like the first game I've ever played with my boyfriend that we are actually cooperating and not like just trying to piss each other off.
Nice.
Because we play Josh's Woolly War, and at some point we're just like, "Hey, I need a ball of jam here. Come here," and we keep throwing each other like at the puzzles to solve them. And then one of us is dead, and the other one is pretty much powering through the level. Here we have to be cooperating, otherwise we are dead. And there are like many different kind of levels. Like this is overall like a 3D platformer with puzzles. But it has like some battles, mainly like the boss battles and stuff like that. And the thing is that in most co-op games I've played, they are like kind of punishing in the sense of, well, obviously in Yoshi, if both players fall into the abyss, you have to restart the level. But here, like, if one of the players fall into abyss, they kind of like reappear really quickly. And unless we're on a boss fight, if both of us die, we don't get thrown back like very far. Like, I don't know, to start the level. We resume like from the last minute or so we don't really lose any progress. So making mistakes isn't a bad thing. So it's more open to experimentation. So we find ourselves like trying stuff out, and not like, oh no, you died, no, we're doomed or something like that. So in that regard, it has been a lot of fun. And even though it is a co-op game, they had these little challenges, and they are amazing because it's like you can pretty much take a quick break from the adventure, competing against the other player. And in some ways, like just a little way like to just relax, unwind, and it's like, okay, we're ready, let's go with the squirrels or something like that. Oh, and this game is charming. It is very, very charming. I love it to pieces. And everything is crafted in such a way that, I don't know, it just fits, like it feels right.
Nice.
I don't know how to describe it exactly. And even there's like, for example, like on one of the first levels, one of the players is given a hammer, and the other player is given the ability to like throw nails, to, I don't know, like to block, let's say, a piece of wood in place or something like that, or give like the player who has hammer, like to build like a path with nails, and the player that has hammer can like jump from nail to nail and reach like the other side, and they activate another mechanism with the hammer, and the abilities like given to each player keep changing as they progress further into the game. So it never grows still, and every stage feels truly different. It's not like they just took one stage and put like a coat of paint over it. So it's really, really, really well crafted and well thought out in that regard. So yeah, it has been a lot of fun. I really want to see where the story is going, what kind of levels awaits us, because so far it has been just plain fun. And then we're playing Age of Empires 4. We went through from something wholesome to pretty much war here. This is again a game that I'm playing with my boyfriend because we're trying to learn how to like properly play the game, how to have like a strong economy in the first 5 minutes on the game, so we can actually decimate the opponent here. Usually on these kind of games, the first 5 minutes or so matter a lot, but it really shows when you make like a very, very small adjustment on those first 5 minutes, and your late game changes completely, like big time. So I'm pretty happy to say that I pretty much mastered like the beginning, the starting like 5 minutes of the Holy Roman Empire, and I am very much ready to start learning how to use another civilization, because as I already said, the civilizations in this game are very, very different, like between them. And finally, I'm playing Pokemon Shining Pearl, and I've been spending last, I don't know, 6 hours in the underground because I just got caught like in that digging mini game, and I've been just like digging up like evolutionary stones, statues, charts, orbs and stuff like that, and it has been like a lot of fun. And then I went out of the underground because like, oh, time to progress the story. And the old man who allowed me to go into the underground in the first place say, hey, do you want to build a secret base? Oh well, I guess I'm back down there again. Thank you.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord. And you don't have
Yep.
like completionist tendencies or anything, so I'm sure you won't spend too much time on Underground.
Yeah, of course not. It's not like I 100% every single visual novel I ever touch. No, not at all.
Can't believe you're getting called out like that.
But yeah,
God.
like I guess like the experience here is still like kind of like throws things off the balance because these Diamond and Pearl were originally thought like like a regular Pokemon game where the experience here is like an item you equip to that Pokemon and that Pokemon gets like half of the experience of the battle. And here it has the issue of the experience share all, where every Pokemon on your party gets experience. So, but the battles themselves aren't like really rearranged on any way, shape, or form. So I have to like artificially limit myself on what I'm doing, so I don't end up like 30 levels over everything else in the game. Because I really want to, at the very least, arrive to the Elite Four and said I had a hard time with Cynthia. So yeah, that's Pokemon Shining Pearl. It's still a lot of fun, even if it's just Pokemon. So what have you been playing, Alex, Rick?
Alex,
one
I've
of
got a segue
you-
in mind, so if you want to jump in.
Yeah, I figured. I'll jump in. Yeah, so
Hmm.
I'm still playing Lego Harry Potter Collection. I mean, I'm not going to beat this game. Like, I just wanted to play it for a bit, you know? Like, I've gotten through the first year, and I'm, like, partway through the second, and I'm having fun. I'll probably do, like, the first couple years, and then I'll, like, leave it for another year and go do the rest later, you know? Like, it's not a game you have to, like, beat, you know what I mean? It's a game when you want a little bit of a collectathon fix, and you're like, yeah, let's do it. That's all it really is for me. Man, I'm getting into Monster Hunter Rise now. It's a good game. I like this game. It's like it's sunk its hooks into me now. Like the loop of, because what I was worried a little bit, what always threw me off with Monster Hunter Rise is like everyone would talk about like all the preparation and stuff you have to do before you go on your hunt and all this, and I was like, really? That doesn't sound like fun. But it's not nearly as bad as I think they make it out to be. I think if you're playing with like friends and you're doing the like, you know, 5-star, like, holy hell ones, yeah, you're going to have to do a lot of preparation and whatnot. But the story, like, it just eases you into this so well that, like, right now, I'm just having a really fun time. Like, I redid a couple missions because I was like, oh, I want some more parts on this. And, ooh, I want to do some of my optional side quests. And, ooh, I want to explore this area. And, like, it's just fun. Like, I like going to your hub, being sent out with, like, a mission. And it really shows you explicitly what you have to find. It's, like, clear on your map what you're looking for. The traversal is really fun. It took me a little while to get used to it because like it does very much have its own unique control scheme, and you could tell it's a game that is very designed for anyone to be able to jump in and play with you at any time, because like there's no pausing when you're in when you're like out there. But of course if you're on the Switch, you just, you know, click the little thing and that's your pause button. Yeah. So that, which is great, which is I think what makes it so wonderful. Like there's no need for a pause button because I just lock the top and it's excellent. So but like, you know, like your minus button is like opening up a chat wheel with like all this stuff, right? So like you can tell I'm like, okay, this is really designed with like playing with people in mind. But I actually have been really enjoying the solo experience so far, and just like killing the monsters is fun. Like wyvern riding on them and stuff is really cool. Like I was like tasked to go kill one monster, so I went and found another large one and went on, like did wyvern riding on him and brought him to the other monster and like beat the shit out of the monster with another monster, and you're like, this is the best. And like, yeah, I don't know. I'm getting it now, and like I think I am going to be far more likely to like buy the next Monster Hunter whenever it comes out, because I'm like, oh, if I get this, I'm into this. I don't think I'll ever be into the like online aspect of it because I think that's just too much for me. But in terms of the like just like core experience, it's really fucking good. Capcom, this has been Capcom's fucking year, man. Like, damn, they have released some fucking bangers this year, and like this game is just like really fucking good. So anyway, if you got a Switch and you haven't played Monster Hunter Rise, hook yourself up. It's fun. And this is coming from someone who has never played a Monster Hunter game ever and had no idea what I was getting into, and I was fine. I didn't have to like look up extra shit or anything. I was I'm good, you know.
Paula's having a little smirk in the corner like, yeah, no. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I tried Monster Hunter World
Yeah.
on PC, and the main gripe I had is that, well, they tried to go for a more realistic look. By that it also meant like more realistic colors. So I actually had a hard time distinguishing some stuff like on the place, and there was a moment where everything was so dark, even though I did like the brightness calibration like at the start of the game. I gave myself a bit more of leeway because I know some games have like a hard time like trying to calibrate that. And it's still like there were a couple of areas in the early game that were like so dark I couldn't like really play anything. So I'm kind of curious about this one because it has a more, I want to say like a more bright anime-ish look to it. So how do you feel it
I mean, I've had zero issues. Like, seems very bright. Even when it's nighttime, it's like that blue nighttime, you know what I mean? It's not like black.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. That's
Yeah.
the kind of thing I want in my games.
Okay, yeah, because it to me it seems super clear. So if that was an issue in World, it sounds like they've addressed that. And it might also help with the fact that it's handheld. You know, maybe on the TV it might be different, but like I'm playing on the Lite, and you know, and also I will say the Lite is much brighter than the regular Switch and the OLED. I find the brightness settings are it's just brighter than the other one. So I think
Fitting, really.
Yeah, makes sense. Called the Light. There you go.
Ta-da!
So anyway, I haven't had an issue, and I think you won't. But who knows? We'll see. Have to try it sometime.
Who knows? Maybe I will give it a try whenever I'm able to pick it up here.
Yeah. Well, I also I played because I guess I beat this, but you can't. It's a tech demo. But I played that Matrix Awakens experience tech demo that you mentioned. Wow. Yeah. That's a cool tech demo. I mean, fucking Unreal Engine 5 can do some impressive shit. And like, I gotta say, the first part is actually the most impressive part because they do this thing where they're mixing like live action footage with like game footage. And there are genuinely a few moments where I was like, wait, because like you can tell when it gets to just the game because, you know, it's still a little plasticky, right? There's still a bit of that Uncanny Valley shit going on in there. But like when they were intermixing a few of them, especially their like backgrounds and stuff, this is impressive shit. And it's not really like a game, like really like they let you take control at one point and like shoot things, but the explosions and stuff, shit. Like I was like, whoa, that is fucking cool looking. Like genuinely, they even sort of make fun of it where they're like, we need like the theory stuff's fun, but we need explosions now. And they're like, okay. And like I'll admit, like the collision detection, like everything was going on in there. I was like, I mean, if this is an example of what they're going to be able to do with this, like, it's going to be some pretty fucking wicked shit. Because, like, already you saw people pushing Unreal 4 and, like, pushing all these other engines to their extreme. I don't actually know what Insomniac uses. I don't know what engine they use. But for Spider-Man, like, that's an impressive world that they've created. But in this one, too, when you're done, you can just kind of zoom out and you can, like, fly all over and, like, look around this world that they've created. And you can drive cars and stuff, which is really fun. And also, their driving was really good. So I was like, this is better than some open world games I've played. So I don't know. I was like, I don't know who did this, but like they made a really like it's quite a large little like map world area that they did. And you can even look into like some windows and stuff, and like they've got like dynamic lighting and all this, and they let you like toggle all the filters to show like the technology behind it. And I think it's cool. So like if you have especially if you have a next gen console, you should try it because it's pretty neat. And it's fucking free, so who cares? Just try it out. You'll have a good time. Then the big one that I'm playing. So last week you might remember that I said Tales of Arise has one of the most solid 5-hour openings. I'm currently 21 hours in now because I've been playing this game a lot. This game is really fucking good. Like I 100% understand why this game won RPG of the Year. It is bar none the best RPG of this year, like easily. It is just, you know what it is? It fucking respects your time, man. It respects your time at every goddamn corner. Like, first off, okay, all the side quests and shit. You open your map up, you press Y, you get a list of fast travel locations. All the locations will show you if there's a subquest that you currently have if the location is there. Then it'll also show you a little envelope that's like closed saying there's a side quest that you can get here. So it shows you where everything is in the game, so you know where to go, what to do. So it's quick, easy, simple, like that. The combat is fucking awesome. I love it. All the arts, it's kinetic, fast, crazy, but like also just satisfying. And like sometimes you'll find like you're gonna hit like a period of time where you're doing normal battles and like they get a little easy, but then they have this like chain multiplier that happens where if you like go into battle, you'll like build up a multiplier, which will then allow the monsters to give like rare drops, which you can use for, you know, your fucking equipment and shit, getting better stuff. So like it's addicting to go through that, and you're like, I want to get the next one. You're just like running through, and then you're swapping all your characters up, and you can control any of the characters if you want. I've been sticking with the main guy a little bit, Alphen, because I just think he's really fun to play. But you can switch around to all the others if you want. And yeah, I don't know. It's good. The story is really interesting too. Like they don't settle into something. You think at first that you know the exact pattern of what the story is going to be, but they introduce like interesting wrinkles, and it seems like they're trying to explore like all facets of this complex question of liberation. Really is like the big thing. It's like, because you're on like a quest to liberate this planet that you're on, and like at every stop they introduce a new wrinkle. Like they complicate this idea that it's a simple thing, and obviously it's still kind of in the end reductively simple because it's a video game about heroes, you know, going off doing their thing. But I really appreciate that they still try and do something a little different within each of these molds and like stop what you think is going to happen within each area. So yeah, oh man, just really fun, really beautiful, really, really good. It scratches that goddamn itch, you know? Like it's just a good RPG. And I'm like, this is what I fucking wanted, man. I just wanted a game where I go on a fun quest, where I have interesting dilemmas, where I have fun fucking combat, and I just have a good goddamn time. And that's exactly what this game is. And there's little hoodles, which are these little owls, and they're adorable, and you have to find them. But like, yeah, they're cute. They're like the Moogles, right? But they're the hoodles. And everything is tied in nicely in the sense that like all of your side quests are so valuable. Oh, this is what I was going to say. Right. So some of the combat, some of the encounters you're going to find get quite easy, but the game really gives you a chance. There's this, like the monsters in are called Zoogles. It's a weird random name, but what they do is a lot of the side quests are more like, hey, there's this giant motherfucker of a beast out there. Can you go kill them? And they're like hard, intense, longer kind of like side quest boss battles. And they're super fun. Like it's where you get to really flex your ability with the combat system. So it's like the game has some really intense fights in it too. Like there's a couple like boss fights that I'm just like, I got by on the fucking skin of my teeth. But I never felt like I had to grind because all the systems are so much fun to engage with that you naturally are going to want to explore and do side quests, which will raise your like level up to be enough to fight anyway. And like sometimes it's really fun to go fight a too hard boss when you're under leveled because they make it so you can beat them. It's just going to be a bitch of a time to do it. And like, I love it. Anyway, that's Tales of Arise. It's super freaking good. I highly, highly recommend it. Rick, why don't you go ahead and then we'll segue in.
Yeah, sure thing. So I have got significantly less games on the go than I had before. Some completions, some retirements. Listen out for those in future. But there's 4 games currently. First of those is Crimson Gem Saga for the PSP. This is a really well-balanced RPG. I've just gone through like the first main dungeon of the game. It's a little bit of a slow start. Once it gets going, it gets going. It does this amazing thing that not many RPGs seem to manage, where the fodder battles represent a challenge all the way through. And the way that they've done that is by really making you both use your special abilities and also be really sort of meticulous about the way that you manage your mana pool. Because you don't get loads. It refills on level ups. And the enemies are pretty judicious in dropping mana refill potions. So you have to keep an eye on whose levels where, how much they've got for a level up. It encourages you to almost be a little bit more stingy than you might otherwise be in battles, and gives you an extra layer of challenge that way, because if you try and scrape by without using something, even the fodder monsters have like debuffs and can sort of bring the hurt, and it makes the thing engaging all the way through. the story's pretty pish, and mechanically, it's very, very sort of standard turn-based RPG, but it does it all well. And it's my sort of commuting game at the moment, and it's perfect for that, like, 20, 30 minutes at a time, just sit down, play a couple of battles, like progress through slowly. And as I said last time, I've got a lot of nostalgia for this game in a quite strange way. And it's really cool that it's sort of living up to what I hoped it would be. So that's great. I'm still playing The Witcher, rather. Not made a lot of progress, but that's because of the other completions and retirements I've been doing to make way for what is, in a very un-me move, a Game Pass binge that I've got coming up. So Alex and Paula know about this. You, the audience, and Resident Roach will not know about this. I am doing a 3-month Game Pass trial. Despite how much I hate that business model, they are giving me 3 months of Game Pass for a single Great British pound, which is a deal I simply could not turn down. The first game I'm playing on that service is Sable. If I wanted to buy that game outright, I'd be paying £15 to £20, depending on sale price. If I play nothing else, it's been worth doing. As is, I've got another sort of 20-odd games that I want to try and get through as many of as possible while I'm doing the service. So that's where I'm at. Probably for the next 3 months of my gaming. Like, I've got The Witcher, that's a meaty one that I'm going to smash out. Once I've made some progress with that, I've got Disco Elysium, which is the game of the month that I need to start. And alongside all of that, my main focus is going to be Game Pass games. Sable, I played the demo of in one of the earliest Steam Game Fests. Really, really loved it. It looks a lot better, even in the brief time I spent with the game proper, versus the demo. The world's so much more vibrant. The camera control, which was my real big complaint last time, that slider actually does something now, and I've been able to get the camera control to a place where I'm really happy with it. And mechanically, so far it does everything it needs to do. It does it well. And it's just a great, relaxing game. The music is wonderful. It's an artist called Japanese Breakfast, who's done quite a lot of the music for this game. It's wonderful. It fits the world. It fits that beautiful. I don't know how to describe it because it's cel-shaded, but it's very uniquely its own thing, despite having, a very sort of identifiable art style thing. The art direction and the way that they've implemented that technique, it really has a look of its own. And it just works beautifully.
Kind of reminds me of like the Clone Wars animation style. Like, it sort of makes me think of that, like
although it's more pastel and feels more hand-drawn, despite the fact that it very clearly is not.
Yeah, it's the colors that are different, but like I think like the early ones, like for me, I don't know, there's something about like that Western animation style, like that's what it reminds me of a little bit. Obviously its own thing, but like it reminds me of that sort of tradition,
Yeah, and the writing's great. The one thing that's throwing me off, the character animations seem like they're very, very limited in terms of like how many frames have been drawn into those animations. So it feels like the world's moving at 60 and the characters are moving at like 20. It feels like an intentional choice because everything else runs perfectly. I don't know if it's just not vibed with me yet. Maybe there's something that changes it. That's the only thing that's caught me out so far. But otherwise, the game's great, and I'm really liking it so far. Finally, and this is the segue to bring Matt back into this. We've been playing Risk of Rain 2 because there's a normal completion that's still waiting to be done. I've got a few characters that still need unlocking, and the game's fucking great. So I will never say no to playing any more of it. Why don't I use that as an excuse to bring you back in, Matt? Why don't you tell us how you feel about the game, what your experience with it's been like?
Well, first of all, I have to tell you that you forgot the alternative title, From Abortion to Euthanasia.
That's in the episode. It's there.
No. Now you forgot it. Now it's part of the title.
I promised you one usage of that, and you got that one.
You get one from Rick.
No, you don't understand. That's the official
first
name.
taste
Okay,
free.
so it has to be adult every time. Yeah. I've been playing that as well, exactly with you.
And Abatage. Let's not forget our fantasy critic coach. But sorry, go on.
Good old Abby. Yeah. It's like I'm not playing roguelites at all, really, but this one is fun. I don't think I would have ever picked it up if it wasn't for the Discord server community games plan to play together. But I'm enjoying it. I'm having fun. I like the gamer rage coming from Rick every time.
If you didn't keep dying, I wouldn't.
You
What
make
keeps
dying too
happening-
much fun.
Yeah, it's too much fun to throw yourself like before the final boss, and then I'm sat there. Literally, the last time we played, Abby and Cock died right before the final boss. It's a normal run, so the final boss has got an obscene amount of health. My hand was cramping up. I was there for 30 minutes, clicking, powering this boss. Got through the first stage. Stage 2 comes. I get a little bit of the way through there. They're just having a casual old chat, and I'm just there like, come on. And then I died, and I think I did scream all of this for nothing. And yeah, I wasn't happy.
It was a great show.
Oh, Lord.
Listen,
I rest
I
my
do-
case about the co-op games being like cutthroat between friends.
Yeah. I do all the aborting and euthanasia stuff that I can, okay? Don't disrespect me like that.
Don't disrespect me like that. I'm left on my own. Very unhappy.
Okay, well, anyway. To get I could I'm gonna continue with another Rick game, I guess. I've been playing Deadbolt. I've started that just recently. Rick recommended it and even bought it. He's my sugar daddy for this one. And
It wasn't a
again-
lot of money, but I am technically your sugar daddy now. Yeah, that's a thing that's happening. What is this episode?
Listen, we have one person calling himself Big Rick and another person calling himself Cock. Obviously, it's gonna be a mess.
Big Rick Energy and Cog. Yeah, this is great. All right, let's go.
Okay,
The
well,
Phallus
anyway.
podcast.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Again, Deadbolt is another genre of games that I usually don't play. It's like side-scrolling shoot 'em up, pretty much. But I like the strategic side of it a lot, and the presentation is really nice and coherent. And I haven't put that much time in it yet, but so far I can see myself like getting through it in small increments of time. Next up, do you have 5 minutes to talk about our Lord and Savior, the Grinch?
Maybe.
I could be persuaded.
Tell me more. We'll see.
So, with Christmas coming up, just like Bible Adventures earlier, I went to play another seasonal game with the Grinch for the PlayStation 1, based on the 2000 live-action movie. This one has also been a game that I've been planning to play for a long time, just out of curiosity. There is a lost era of licensed games back in the early noughties that I have a big soft spot for, that it just doesn't exist anymore these days. And I like to pretend to be that young little child on that Christmas morning in 2000, getting that stupid game under the tree. I highly recommend just Googling the cover art because it shows a really cool and epic Grinch with sunglasses and being really smug. It's a piece of art. I'm actually disappointed you didn't mention that in the episode where you talked about cover art. It's a masterpiece.
Oh my god, what is this?
So
I'm sending it on the chat. What is
Yes,
this?
please.
Oh
it's so
my
good.
god.
And that's the real art. That's not.
That's real.
That is real.
I'm not lying, man.
I
And-
love how much I hate that.
Why are there two Grinch? I don't want to know. Let's not.
I
do
don't-
that.
And the
sorry.
Grinch at the back is literally shooting the title onto the box.
Yeah, I'm so confused. All right.
I don't know what's going on here.
One Grinch, two Grinch, who Grinch?
Hell yeah.
Nah. And by contrast to myself and Cox, Grinch number 2 is a proper candle.
Okay. Anyway, the Grinch is it's just a. Let me talk about the Grinch. Don't interrupt me. It's important to me.
Oh my god, we
Oh.
lost Rick.
I'm going lightheaded. I just.
It's important,
Anyway. Anyway, go on.
okay? The game in itself is just a pretty much a 3D platformer with a lot of collectathon stuff. It's not really mechanically special or anything, but it works so far. I've played an hour and it works. It's fine. It doesn't feel that bad to play, and I actually like the concept that you don't get attacked by enemies that try to kill you or anything. The enemies in the game are kids that try to hug you, for example, and you just try your best not to get hugged by little kids. And that's a game mechanic that we need more often, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of love that.
Yeah. That's the thing that's going on. What have I've also played Pokemon Sword out of curiosity. I did
easy
grow
now.
up. Yeah. No.
No, I'm talking to Paula, not you. All right.
No, I know. Because
That can be
nobody could forget the infamous rant in season 2, episode 12, which ironically was caused by user questions sent in by me. I didn't even remember that until I did research. So I'm officially saying sorry, but that was great.
Saying sorry at the same time as just bringing it back up.
Yeah, I'm not bringing up to start a discussion. Don't worry. I mean, I agree with pretty much everything Paula said back then. I pretty much only started this up out of pure curiosity because I did play Pokemon since Gen 1, and I did play some sort of game from every generation except one that I skipped, I believe, somewhere. And I do love the franchise, or at least the classic games. I've left that hype train, I guess, long ago, but something in me just had the morbid curiosity to see for myself what these Switch games these days have to offer. And I used to be part of the fandom that was criticizing every rightfully criticizable aspect of the newer games, but I'm playing this now as like somebody who doesn't care anymore in the best way, because I'm not getting I don't have a horse in this race anymore. I don't care. I'm just here to experience what's happening, and playing it that way with no care in the world actually works as a decent casual game. I would never say that this is a very good installment in the franchise, but I would absolutely say it's fine trademarked.
Hey.
If you don't care much about the franchise development. What else? I played Snow Moto Racing Freedom on PC, which is, I don't have much to talk about that. It's just a so far pretty decent racing game on snow vehicle. What are they called?
Snowmobiles.
Snowmobiles. Thank you. That's the one. I just like a lot of games based in snowy environments, and I've been looking for a good racing game in that environment for a few years now, and this is just like the current tryout, and it's pretty okay so far. And then the final game. I'm very sorry to bring this onto your wholesome, family-friendly Christian gaming podcast, but I've been playing a visual novel called LOVE³. I loved it. I love to see that somebody is copying the name of the game in the show notes right now, probably to Google what the fuck this is going to
Probably
be
don't
that
wanna.
I'm going to talk about.
How did you even get this though? I thought that.
Wait, where is
This
Where-
is somehow one of the few adult games on Steam that are available in Germany. I'm not exactly sure why this one is okay.
Hmm.
it is a visual novel. It is one of those, trademarked creepy hentai games, which I'm only really playing because I like the artist behind it, and I just by curiosity figured out that there is suddenly a game or a visual novel that hired this artist to make art, and I just was curious how they were gonna I don't know, develop the characters this artist created in the years beforehand. Just curiosity, really, nothing else. I am though a little bit disappointed because I've only played a few VNs in my life so far, but usually they are the kind of VNs that have some sort of interactivity or choices. And so far, this one doesn't seem to have any. It might just be a straight story from beginning to end, which is a little bit disappointing. Which is surprising though, because it is one of those trope stories where the protagonist has a bunch of women lusting for him, and usually, that sounds like a dating sim where you choose who to give attention to and whatever. But so far, there's none of that. It's just a literal visual novel to read, which I don't know. Maybe that's in the end game, in the 9th hour of playtime. Maybe there's gonna be the final choice or something. But yeah, it's nothing to write home about. It's just a visual novel involving an artist that I like.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Steam page right now, and yeah, I am the one who copied the thing to.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck is this? First
I
of
am
all,
also. Go on, sorry.
the quality of the art is actually really good.
Yeah.
Also, it was animated with live 2D, and that is like, if I remember correctly, you pretty much give life to like 2D pictures, which
Yeah, that
it
sounds
is
right.
kind of awesome. But also, yeah, this is pretty much a kinetic novel in the sense that you just sit back and enjoy the story because
It's not just
it
the
has
novel
some
that's
choices.
kinetic, I'll tell you that much.
Well, speaking of,
Oh my god!
top review, cons, no dialogue choices, stories lacking, no replayability, short game, yada yada yada. Pros, press P to make them bounce.
No, dude, there's
You can use your mouse to pet them.
Yes, that's a thing. It's fucking.
That's a thing. Oh yeah.
It's
Wait,
weird.
yeah, you can actually do that on the Necopara games, didn't you?
And for the low price of £7.19.
I realized 2 hours in that there's this creepy button in the corner. I'm still trying to get that in my head.
It's like I don't want to yuck
but yeah-
anyone's yum, but like a little bounce button,
whatever.
that's a little weird, right?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this seems. Oh, there's actually something I want to talk about about this. It is one of those visual novels that have a story based in the visual novel industry, which is something I actually really, really like. I've out of the very few visual novels I have read or played, that's like a specific subgenre I have seen before, and it's really interesting. It's really like the protagonist character is a failed hentai artist, and the girls he is surrounded by is like his boss and like a successful hentai artist and whatever. Like, it's really interesting to have a story set in the industry that created this subgenre of games or visual novels. And from what I can tell, it does actually seem like a more polished kind of this genre of game with the animation and shit. It is clean.
Nice. Well, why
Not in
don't
all
we?
ways, but whatever. Yeah.
Wait,
Please.
In one way, it's clean. Yeah, I'll move on.
Yeah.
So many ridiculous puns today. Okay, well, thank you. That's our planning. So why don't we move on to the topic this week? And how about, Matt, can you share with us the topic that you've brought for us to discuss today?
Yes, certainly. So, how do I bring this across even? There
I mean,
The
I can help
topic I
you.
brought to you today, I think I got it. The topic I brought to you today is, in the broadest sense, gimmicks and peripherals in games. I myself am mostly interested in games that do unique things or break new ground in a way. And gimmicks, unique gimmicks, or certain peripherals are a potential way to do these things, to bring something completely new to the media. But they are also absolutely one way for corporations to milk money out of people through novelty trash. So it's a very two-sided sword. And I would like to discuss with you, what are your general thoughts and opinions about unique gimmicks that games base themselves on, or outside peripherals that they make use of? And have you experienced some that you thought were successful or unsuccessful? Maybe some that you thought were underutilized and you thought could be explored better in some way?
It's funny because like I often think that when it's used well, it's when it like stops being thought for me as a gimmick in some ways. Like I don't inherently think gimmicks are necessarily bad, but like, do you know what weirdly enough came to my head? Like obviously the rock like band and Guitar Hero peripherals and all those were always amazing and they were wonderful.
Yeah.
But weirdly enough, the Guitar Hero DS clip-in was
Oh,
actually
yeah,
I was
that's
gonna
trash.
bring
good.
that up.
Yup.
I really
Right.
liked it. Like it was fun.
Although it did absolutely cramp your hand after like 3 or 4
Yes,
songs.
for sure.
Like
for sure.
they were very much short bursts, if ever, the kind of thing you
Yes.
do. And I fucking loved that there was like a little plectrum stylus in the back, and you pull it out,
Yeah.
and then you're playing Pat Benatar, and it's like, yeah, I will hit you with my best shot. Yeah.
Right? You're strumming, you're
that.
doing your thing. Like I was like, weirdly enough, I was just like, that shit just worked. Like they clearly like it could have easily been, like you said, a cash grab where they're just like, well, let's just throw it on the DS too. But they're like, no, like we're gonna actually think about like how do we make this an experience that still feels tactile instead of just like, oh, you're gonna poke things when playing, right?
And there was a version of that for like Rock Band. What they did is they sold it with like this really gross, like neoprene rubber peripheral that like wrapped around the back of the DS Lite and then fit over the face buttons and the D-pad, and it was like the drum kit. It was like,
That was actually the one I got to try at some point, and
oh,
that
poor
one
thing.
is trash.
Yeah.
The other one that you talk about, I saw, but I couldn't get it because at the time I didn't have like a DS with the what's the
GBA slot.
Yeah, like I had
Yeah.
3DS first, and then I had a DS, and by the time I had the DS, I couldn't get like the Guitar Hero one. We have guitars for the Wii version of Guitar Hero and Rock Band home, which we still made use of because my sister absolutely loves Guitar Hero and Rock Band. No, she loves Rock Band. Sorry.
Hero.
Yeah, tomato.
It's tomato. Yeah, but the one thing I thought it was trash is that the guitars for one game are incompatible for the other.
Yeah.
And that is like, why? They like work like
Money,
almost the
Paula.
exact same fucking way. Yeah, but it doesn't make any sense. I'm
It
mad.
makes lots of sense. It makes lots of green dollar bill shaped senses.
Yeah, that was the fight of the peripherals.
I do want to drop back to DS. Oh, sorry, go on.
But in terms of gimmick, like without like the use of special peripherals and stuff, one that actually my boyfriend told me this morning when I brought this topic up was when he was playing Metal Gear Solid, the first one.
Yes.
There's this one enemy that I forgot the name of, but that enemy very much tells you. Yeah, Psycho Mantis. That enemy tells you like the games you've been playing, but also it kind of like starts, I'm gonna say, like reading your moves before you attack and stuff like that, so you can't really touch him. So the way to actually go over that was very, very smart was unplug the controller from the first port and plug it in the second port, and then you can actually battle it.
I love that so much. That's one of my favorite kinds of game gimmicks, these meta tricks to mess with the player. Especially in horror games, that's one of the strongest things to pull by the developer.
Yeah, and the other
Go on.
The other one that came to mind, which DS Zelda game were you playing, Rick? The one where you had to
Phantom
press
Hourglass. Yeah, I was going to bring
the
that up
map.
actually. Yeah,
Go
in
ahead.
terms of meta tricks, that's the one that I always think about, where you close the DS to like sandwich the map. Another Code did a very similar thing, but that game was kind of trash in a way that Phantom Hourglass was very much not, for the most part. So the DS was great for that kind of stuff, though. I think it was already inherent in the fact that you've got the stylus and you're doing all that kind of stuff anyway. But developers made really good use of that GBA slot. I mean, I have a Rumble pack that came as a pack-in with Metro Prime Pinball, and actually works with a surprisingly large amount of games. So I replayed a DS first-person shooter called Moon, just to sort of experience it again with Rumble. And that game's pretty I love Grown Kids stuff, but it's a very basic FPS. Rumble elevates it, and it's good Rumble. It's not like a wet fish Rumble. Like it's actually a really, really well put together peripheral. And the one that I've wanted for the longest time, but I've never been able to get hold of, when they ported Arkanoid to the DS, they released a little paddle that plugged into the GBA slot, and so it allowed you to twist it left and right to move
Nice.
the ship in Arkanoid. And I think it worked with Space Invaders Extreme as well. Love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And then go on.
Oh no, sorry. Go ahead, Rick.
What was it? There's something in my head.
Here, I'll let you think about it. Well, because there was one other one that I was thinking of, and the Ring Fit, like the Ring Con, for Ring Fit Adventure, like it's excellent, and I think that is actually an example of, because I think the Wii Fit balance board was pretty dumb. I mean, it's fine, whatever. I guess they used it okay, but like what I love about the Ring Con is that they took something that is already an established thing, right? Like this is a thing that's used in other exercises. I forget the specific exercise thing that uses it. And then they just kind of like use it to the max, right? By like adding that Joy-Con to it and having the accelerometer in on it, it like just becomes this whole new method of input. And like during the pandemic was a really genuinely like effective exercise tool. Like when I couldn't get to my gym, it was closed, I was having a great time with Ring Fit, and I was like, anything that, like, I find the best gimmicks or peripherals, it's when like you truly could not play the game without it, like then you're just like, yeah,
Yes.
this is it,
Yeah, speaking of fitness stuff, fitness boxing is actually like a very fun cardio boxing rhythm game on the Nintendo Switch that I got digitally just because I kind of like wanted like just to move because pandemic, thank you. And I actually had a lot of fun with it for the little while that I was playing. And moving on for that, there's not really like a gimmick, but just like a stupid little detail that I absolutely love. And I'm so sad that the Switch doesn't have like an actual microphone. Is that in the Ace Attorney games, you can actually like shout, hold it, objection, and all that stuff, and it recognizes it. And I went crazy with that, like during all my playthroughs of the games, and it was amazing. I just wanted to bring that one up.
The microphone was like so rubbish that basically it could only register making noise, not making noise. So actually, you could do anything right up to and including just blowing into the microphone, and it'd be fine.
Yeah,
I know, but immersion.
I love the contrast. I love the idea of you just like into the microphone. It's like, hold it.
Yep.
Yeah,
I would love to know. Also, go on.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to bring Matt in because with questions like this, I always feel like there's something that you're thinking about that's prompted it.
actually, have that Nintendo DS mic. There's one good use for it that I know of. There used to be a Pokemon, I believe in Diamond and Pearl. It was introduced. I might be wrong. It was a parrot, and you could actually teach him a sentence or a sound through the mic, and that was its move. And I absolutely loved that at the time, even though the move itself was trash, and you couldn't use it online either.
No, actually, you couldn't use it online because it would crash the game. It was banned.
Oh, it wasn't because of like the potential for obvious abuse.
I thought that was the reason. Yeah.
No, I think it actually like caused some kind of glitch with the game, and the battle would just stop working, so you couldn't use chat on the online battles.
Oh, Nintendo!
I just watched
that Pokemon. Yeah. Got a bad rap. He needs to come back.
Well, I just watched too like a great video on like I was thinking about like the first peripheral I think I ever used was the NES light gun, right? Like
Damn.
that thing was like the best, you know? And like I think about like I was just watching like yesterday and I'm like as I'm frantically gaming historian. He did like a whole thing, the ultimate guide to NES light guns. It's like a 57-minute long look at all of them. And like that thing was dope. Like I remember being at like I think it was like my like babysitter when I was super young and she had the light gun, you know, you're pointing at the TV and shooting and like it's so and again, like I think what it demonstrates is just like something that is so obvious when you pick it up. Like for me, like a solid peripheral is like I grab this thing and the game turns on and I'm like, yep, I know what to do. Maybe you got to give me like a brief second, but like I know what's up. Like Guitar Hero guitar, I put that in my hand and go, yeah, I'm gonna play guitar. You know what I mean? Like it's like it translates something that you're like, I know what's about to happen here. Whereas like shit peripherals are the ones where it's like, I don't know, not to throw a whore under the bus, but like it's like made by Mad Cats or some shit, and you're like, and it's like falling apart plastic, and you're like, fuck. But
Stop
like,
it! They're already dead.
yeah, I know, right? Or like the DK bongos, like, sorry, but maybe fun for that one game, but
I always think in terms of bad peripherals. Do any of you remember the storybook they did for that one Harry Potter game on PS4?
no.
I know it exists, but I've never. I thought it was a book. I didn't know it was a peripheral.
Yeah, so basically, it's not a book. It's a book with like a few pages of QR codes in it, and it works in conjunction with the PlayStation Eye and the Move controllers, and you have to like cast spells and do things. I'm aware that it's a thing.
Book
I don't
of
really know more than that.
Spells.
And it sold, I think, pretty horribly because they had plans to like make other games that used said book.
Yeah,
and
I'm seeing it
that
now.
didn't happen.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah,
That's terrible.
it's not the one.
If you want to look it up, folks, it's called Harry Potter Book of Spells, or just Wonder Book of Spell. Whatever.
And that
It's
came
PS2.
around in that beautiful time when like the 3DS and Vita launched, and they both had like this AR thing built in, where it's like this is the next big innovation. And it was like 7 years too early because that tech just about worked. And so, and in fact, there was one on the PSP as well. There was that Invisimals thing, and they did it with the Eye, and then they did it on Vita as well. And it was just this this beautiful period of really awful augmented reality. That's not fair. Like when it worked, but it didn't really work.
And I can't believe we
There was
haven't
another one.
talked about Kinect.
They did another. What was it? What series? I think it was like Fatal Frame. They did like a spirit camera thing for the 3DS, and it came with a little booklet.
Yes.
Oh, the
And,
AR stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I found a PDF and bought like a loose cartridge for like £1. Because obviously it's not much use without the book, but it's like, haha, I can get the book and I can do it on my phone and then just scan it that way. Still haven't done it, but that's one to look out for in the future. Kinect, you were saying, Alex, and you're absolutely
Well, I
right.
was just
What
saying,
a
yeah,
stupid gimmick that was.
that
Do you know
was
what?
rough.
Supposedly, when they were developing it, it was way more powerful, and its capabilities got to scale back and back and back.
Yeah.
To make it cost effective, to the point that it wasn't in any other way effective.
Exactly. That's the problem. It was genuinely ahead. Like oftentimes these peripherals are too far ahead of like ability to produce them for consumers, right? Like there's something that could have been cool at like a fucking Microsoft kiosk or something, right? But like to put that into people's homes, it's like, no, like you're going to have to scale it back so far that it ends up being this useless thing. And like I will say, I think in general, the Wii as well was an impressive gimmick in a lot of ways. Like worse, I think, than the DS, but when it was used well, was really fun. And I still like, you know, last year the pandemic, like I busted out that Wii and I was playing some Wii games, and like the ones that relied more on the pointing and like tilting and stuff worked really nicely. Like it was just like
the pointer's great. The pointer you can't fault.
Right? Like, and that to me was like actually like something that I'm like, that's some good shit, man. Like Trauma Center on that thing was crazy fun. You know, like
I'm just gonna say the same way that Rick has a blessed PS4, I feel that I have like a blessed Wii U with controllers, because I've never ever had like any issues using motion controls on that thing. Like,
depends on the game.
At all. It depends on the game, but like on Skyward Sword, that is like the game that you usually I hear people saying it doesn't work. It works for me, so it's like, do I have a blessed controller or something like that?
Oh, my controller worked. I just hate that game.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
That's the sad thing with the Wii. Like, Motion Plus came out a year before that thing like was superseded by the Wii U, and Motion Plus is what that controller was always promised to be.
Yeah.
The,
Like-
the
Yeah,
controller could
that's
do
true.
more though than just motion control. Like one of my favorite things that the Wii controller could do was function like a phone in that one horror game called Calling. That's
Oh,
such
yeah.
a specific function, but it's just it's a simple use too, but it's so genius just for immersion into the horror game.
They did that
Yeah.
in Silent Hill Shattered Memories as well.
And
Can
in Dead
I
Space
ask you a
Extraction.
thing?
Hmm.
Like, I know, like in Skyward Sword, when you swing the remote, it
Mhm.
sounds like the sword. Does it sound like a phone, and does phone sounds like on those games?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty cool. So, like, there are various games and some on PS4 and stuff like now that they've got the speakers that use that speaker, which I'd never really thought of as a gimmick until we've just had it come up in this conversation. But I suppose really it is. So, like in Dead Space Extraction, if you picked up an audio log, obviously you're playing that close to you, so that audio log would play out of the speaker. In Shattered Memories, you did have to answer it by putting it up to your ear, and it would play through like it was a phone. What other ones did that? I feel like some of the Fatal Frame games and like stuff like that used it for various sort of spooky things as well.
Nice.
Um,
In terms of the re-releases.
Ooh.
Wait, hold on.
Speaking of
Before we
spooky
keep rolling
games.
on here, I just want to can we put maybe a last thought on this, because we're creeping real close to a 2-hour mark here. We should.
Oh, mama! And
The
we
Wii
still
U?
got to guess the game. Yeah.
Yeah, we got guess the game and we got how long to beat the game. So
Oh my
let's last thought.
Okay. Can I go with the
Paula,
Wii U?
one thought, and then go ahead, Matt. Finish us off. Yeah.
Okay, even though the Wii U wasn't like really used in a very effective way in most of the games, one example that I can think of that I think is very cool is the Zombie U game, because you could check your backpack on the gamepad like in real time, which was neat. It was used less effectively in Tokyo VR Sessions Sharp FE as a phone that you could check as you play the game. And I just like the extra map on Wind Waker. So, Rick.
Or,
I have
Matt,
nothing
I
else.
think.
So I feel like I hit
Yeah.
everything I wanted to hit. Yeah, 100%.
yeah. I think Matt, you had something you wanted to say, right?
yes. Off the record, I just dropped out for the last few seconds, so if
You're fine.
whatever was going on, I missed it. Yeah, my last 2 cents. One, in terms of physical gimmicks or peripherals, I think my favorite so far is the Boktai series with the UV light sensor and the GBA slot, which is, I love the way that it's an inactive way to manipulate the game, but it's such a unique experience that can not even be replicated with emulation or something. And in terms of not physical gimmicks, I briefly talked about that before. In horror games, one of my favorite kind of horror games are on the PC, mainly games that break the frame of themselves and go outside of the actual software they are running on. Games like Rick talked about I'm Scared a few episodes ago, where the game actually creates a physical file on your desktop to mess with you and give you clues and hints. And games that have you rummage through Windows files to do some puzzles, or you have to actually open them over and over again to make the story progress, and they mess with you. Fake Steam messages from friends. I've had that before, and that really freaked me out. When they are done right, and you really cannot tell where the game's boundaries are anymore, that's some of the best game experiences I've ever had. And
Nice.
that's pretty much my end for that, yeah.
Perfect. Well, now it is time for Guessed the Game, where the aim of the game is to guess the guest's game. God, that's a great title. So Matt's picked out a completion for us on how long to beat, and it's going to read us the times and notes, and we're going to try to guess what it is. And Rick is the champ of this, so we'll see if we can beat Rick. Really, this is a competition.
I was going to say
between Paula and I and
undefeated
Rick.
to date, right?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
All right, hit us.
All right, so the general times are main story 9 hours, main plus 11 hours, and completion 11. I got 8 hand-picked notes here that I've sorted, kind of,
Okay.
in a level of information for you. So we can go through them one by one. The first completion note, main story 9 hours. The game is so linear that there really is no difference between main and 100%. Just depends on how much scenery you take in.
I want to Hail Mary Shadow of the Colossus.
Fuck no.
Okay.
Oh Lord. Okay. No. So no, not that. All right.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you just tell me each time you want to go to the next one.
All right. Let's
go to the next one. I really can't narrow it down like that.
Yeah. Next one, 5.5 hours for the main story. Wuss mode to make monsters not attack.
Is this Amnesia?
No.
Soma. Is this?
Yeah.
Soma.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Sorry. Too.
Oh, because I remember that mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't this the one that Everjoy's played a ton of? Sorry. Yeah.
I do want to mention though a few tidbits here from the completions because they are funny. One person just wrote down, killed everyone. That's a good completion note. Searched every crevice. I like that sentence. One person just wrote Lovecraft. I don't really know what that has to do with the completion itself.
It's also not really on the money.
No,
yeah,
it's not really. Good.
And it's not really a spoiler, but one person wrote down, deleted myself, and without context, I really like that. Just that thought. I deleted myself.
Yeah, so how was your day?
That's it. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you. I can't believe I got one finally. Oh, I'm a happy boy.
Yeah,
all right.
finally.
Yeah,
Get Rick.
I have to let them have a couple. I've got to let them think that they've got a chance.
There you go. So it's 3-1 now. Rick's got 3, I got 1, Paula's got. We got to get more guests on here. All right, let's move on to How Long to Beat the Game. That's fine. You don't have to do it with me, but you guys are just still doing your dun-duns. Paula, you're editing. What do we got?
Jeez.
Okay, we have The Marvelous Mistake.
Ooh.
And I actually had to send you the title.
Wait, just called The Marvelous Mistake?
Mistake. No, it's The Marvelous Mistake. But obviously, mistake sounds like mistake.
I'm not going to
I'm aware of this game.
But...
I'm aware of this game.
So how much information are you allowed to look up?
You can look it up.
Anything that's not the time.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
all right.
Obviously, yeah.
Wikipedia it is, I guess.
Yeah, Wikipedia is usually pretty good.
I can't even imagine what the hell this is.
Stealth video game.
Oh, while you guys are Googling it, I can't believe I didn't bring this up before, and I just have to briefly. Starfield. That Ubisoft game where they made the little ship and you had to like click them in like the Infinity type stuff, and nobody fucking bought it. So the starter pack was like £80 and you can literally get it for a $5 now.
The worst part is that it's a good game. But they they pulled that bullshit of all that stuff onto it. Now if you can get it for super cheap, like on the eShop and stuff, it's worth it because it's basically a Star Fox game on Nintendo.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, honestly. But you're right. The
Marvelous Mistake back on topic.
Yeah, I'm having a real hard time.
Bruh, I'm gonna fucking Hail Mary.
Oh, you're gonna go 555?
No, I'm gonna do 789. That's what I'm gonna do because I got no idea. Like I am genuinely, like I've had a pretty good winning streak over the last little while, and I think this is the day where Alex just tanks because I do not know how long this is. I just saw something that said 25 art galleries, so I assume it's long-ish.
Okay,
it has a Metacritic
I
score of 69. That's nice.
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 I am gonna say... Oh, where is the document? There. Okay, I'm gonna say that it is about 6 hours and a half for a main.
Wow.
Just heard Rick
For-
go.
I'm gonna bite my tongue. Here's what I'm gonna
This is like the tricky part. Okay, I'm gonna say 9 hours for main class. And then I'm gonna say 13 hours for 100%.
do. Okay.
No, actually a little bit more. 13 hours and a half.
I think this game was a smidge longer. So I'm putting 10 hours for main, 12 hours for main plus, and 15 hours for 100%. I feel like it's a wee bit stodgier
I'll do 9.5
than
hours.
you guys have gone for.
Yeah, I'm gonna
So
say
you
10
actually
hours
have-
in the middle and 14 and a half for 100%.
What are you saying, Matt?
So Rick, you are the only one who has prior context for this.
Basically.
In the sense that I recognize the game's name, yeah. In my head, it's like a stealth game, a little bit like Stealth Chameleon. But I
Right.
could be completely wrong.
So
I
Matt,
don't.
are you...
I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going with main 3 hours, main plus 4 hours, 100%, 4.5 hours maybe. I don't think this is gonna be a big game, like you people.
I don't know. This is a pure Hail Mary guess that I've got going here. So
Yep.
What's going to happen is all three of us are going to get it, and Matt's not, and we're going to ask ourselves yet again why the guests never get any points.
The guest did once.
The system is rigged anyway. You have
It's
every
because
little
we've played
guess
this.
here.
What is this? This is our 56th episode.
Yeah.
Close to, if not a little bit
Yeah.
more.
It's
Yeah.
56. Yeah, we have played this game so many times now. I think we're becoming slight pros. All right, Paula, tell us what we got.
Okay, for main story, 6 hours.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Main plus extras, 9 hours.
Oh, okay.
And completion is 12 hours and a half.
Hey.
Oh, you've missed out on the 100%.
Can you believe
Matt.
this?
Oh,
You actually were
yeah.
just scraping in until that 100%.
Oh,
And the
Oh my
prophecy has come true.
God.
That's 5 points for all the regular hosts.
which
And
means
and the guest, you get nothing. Good day, sir.
yeah. Rick and I are at 133 and Paula's at 118. Unfortunately, we've had a string of good luck the last few episodes. We're sorry, Matt. You were close.
Sure.
Yeah, that's right. We've got
We're
Whatever
so
you say,
close.
buddies.
I've memorized the How Long to Beat catalog. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Goodness.
so much for joining us. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Truly.
Stay tuned. Next week, we have another special surprise for all you lovely listeners. This whole month is going to be full of lovely special surprises, so stay tuned for that. Toodaloos, folk!
Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.